Hi guys, I'm not here today, so I'm going to record myself giving the notes. Please go to page 19 and follow along. If you need to speed up the video, slow it down, pause it, rewatch it, that's totally fine. So we're going to start right here on lesson 5.5, talking about additive inverses. So additive inverses have a sum of 0. So basically they're numbers opposite. You want to change the sign of a number. So the expression 1, the opposite would be -1. And my proof is they have to have a sum of 0. 1 plus -1 is 0. If I made a scoreboard, 1 plus -1 would be 0. So if I have the expression -7, the opposite would be +7, because -7 and +7 equals 0. If I made a scoreboard, -7 and +7 would be 0. That means that they are additive inverses. They are opposites. So the additive inverse of positive 3x is -3x. And your proof should be that positive 3x and -3x would be 0. Now think about it when it has multiple terms. You want both of these terms to cancel out and become 0. So if I have a positive x, the opposite would be -x. And if I have a positive 3, the opposite would be -3. So the expression x plus 3, the opposite would be -x minus 3. And my proof is that x plus 3 minus x minus 3. So let's see, I have a positive x, a negative x, a positive 3, and a -3. That's going to add up to 0. Then I have 3x minus 7. Now the opposite of a 3x is a -3x. What's the opposite of a -7? A +7. So this is going to be 3x minus 7. And then I have a -3x and a +7. That's going to add up to 0. So these are additive inverses. This is what additive inverses means. It means that the expressions would add up to 0. So keep this in mind for later when we start distributing negatives. So I'm going to scroll on down. I'm going to zoom in because I'm using my finger to write on a laptop. So it's not like the best quality. So the directions say find the sum by aligning the expressions vertically and then combining like terms. So what you're going to do is you're going to align the expressions vertically like this. So I'm going to start by writing down my positive 5a, and I'm going to write down a positive symbol with it, positive 5a. Then I'm going to move here and write down my positive 3b. Then I'm going to move over here and write down my -6c. Underneath that, I'm going to write down these terms. So the positive 2a, I'm going to write down underneath the positive 5a because I'm going to be able to combine those. The -4b, I'm going to write down underneath the positive 3b. And the positive 13c, I'm going to write down underneath my other term that has a c. Now that I lined up all the like terms, apples with apples, bananas with bananas, carrots with carrots, I'm going to think about a scoreboard and I'm going to combine them. So positive 5a and positive 2a is positive 7a. Positive 3b and -4b. The negatives would win by 1b, so that'd be -b. And then a -6c and a positive 13c, the positives would win by how much? By 7c. So that would be my answer there. Let's do another one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by writing down my first expression, and I'm going to write down a positive sign in front of the 2x, just so that later when I'm combining like terms, it's obvious what I should be doing. So I have a positive 2x, a positive 3y, and a -4. Now I'm going to write down these terms underneath the like terms. So the positive 5x, I'm going to write down underneath the positive 2x. And the positive 2 constant, I'm going to write down underneath the -4 constant. There's nothing underneath the positive 3y, so you don't have to combine it with anything. So my answer is going to be positive 7x, bring this down, plus 3y. And then which sign wins? Negatives. By how much? By 2. And that's your final answer. 7x plus 3 minus 2. Now it's more complicated when you're subtracting. When you're finding the difference of two expressions, when there's a negative sign, you have to do an extra step. You have to distribute the negative first. Then you can align the expressions vertically and combine. But you can't start combining them until you distribute the negative. So this is what that looks like. Do you see how there's a minus right here? Right here. This doesn't just mean we're subtracting 6a. It means we're subtracting 6a and we're subtracting negative 4b. So what this is going to look like is, I'm going to start over here at the left. We have a positive 8a. We have a positive 7b. Now, distribute your negative to these terms after the negative. A negative times 6a is kind of like a negative 1 times 6a. That's a negative 6a. And then what's a negative times a negative? Negative 1 times negative 4b. That's a positive 4b. Now, you could line up the expressions vertically. I'm going to go over a different way down here. Another way you could do it is make different shapes around the like terms. So here, this is my positive 8a, and I'm going to combine it with a negative 6a. Do you see how I included the negative with the term? That's really important. So it's a positive 8a and a negative 6a. That would be a positive 2a. And then the terms that are left, I'm going to use circles here. I have a positive 7b and a positive 4b. That would be a positive 11b. There's my answer. All right, let's do another one. So moving over here, I'm going to start writing the terms. But remember, when there's a subtraction sign, it's really, really important that you remember that you need to distribute that negative to the terms after it. So I have a positive 5b, a positive 6y, a positive 4. That's my first expression right here. Now I'm going to distribute the negative. A negative 1 times a negative 9y is a positive 9y. Because if I subtract negative 9y, I'm really adding it. But I also have to subtract the 3. A negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Okay, now I can combine like terms. Looking at my first term, positive 5b, is there anything that I can combine with it? No. So that's kind of by itself. Let's look at the y terms. I have a positive 6y and I have a positive 9y. Now let's look at the constants. I have a positive 4 and a negative 3. So now combining my like terms, I'm going to bring this down. So I have a positive 5b. Now let's look at my y terms. Positive 6y, positive 9y. That's positive 15y. Now let's look at my constants. I have a positive 4 and a minus 3. 4 minus 3 is positive 1. All right. All right, let's go to the next page and get started on some different examples. Combine the following expressions. Okay, another time when we have a negative symbol in front of a group. So here we go. We're going to change this into a negative 1, and we're going to distribute that. So I start with a positive 4, then a negative times a negative is a positive 6b, and then a negative times a 1 is a negative 1. Looking at what I can combine, I have a positive 4 and a negative 1. So that leaves me with a positive 6v plus 3, because 4 minus 1 is